Welcome to the Inside Slant Podcast, brought to you by JayhawkSlant.com. Here's the staff from Jayhawk Slant, the online leader in KU coverage since 1999.
Hey everybody, this is Randy Withers. Welcome into another edition of the Inside Slant Podcast from JayhawkSlant.com. And wouldn't you know, it was about that time for us to release a new podcast, and it just happens to be right when the news breaks earlier this afternoon that Kansas head basketball coach Bill Self will be back in Lawrence, Kansas for the 2026-2027 NCAA basketball season with your Kansas Jayhawks. We're going to talk about what this news means for the Kansas program, as well as what the next order of business is for this coaching staff and where they go from here. We're going to touch on spring football as well, because we're already, Leipold and his staff are already 1/3 of the way through spring practice, and we're going to get some updates on how the squad has looked from our publisher and man on the Kansas football beat, John Kirby. But the focus of this podcast, as you can imagine, is going to be on the big news that Bill Self is returning to the sideline for the Kansas Jayhawks. With that, I've got to welcome in our man on the Kansas men's basketball beat from the Allen Fieldhouse suite, Mr. Shea Wildeboer. Shea, are you just elated that we finally know for sure where things are going?
Right, right, yeah. Just it's over. I mean, it's over. I never really, and we can get into this. I never thought. I think maybe for a half a day, I thought early on that he might leave, and then my stance on the board was he's coming back. That's my gut feeling. And I never felt any other way. But it's good to know that it's over. I mean, there's a message that's been put out. Bill Self says he's back. But we're almost 10 days in, and you kind of get to wonder what's the delay, what's the holdup, what's going on, what's he thinking. I'm definitely glad that this is behind us, and we can talk about that. And then obviously the portal opens on the 7th, and there's a lot of stuff that's going to be going down here the next, I don't know, 10 days, 2 weeks. So yeah, a lot to cover coming up.
Before we get into all that, I'm going to go ahead and bring in our man on the Kansas football beat, the aforementioned publisher of Jayhawk Slant, and our good friend John Kirby. JK, big news breaking today, man.
Dude, hey, listen, I'm on here. I'm going to talk some football. Nobody cares what I have to say tonight, right? Hey, when Shea's done, everybody's going to hang up the podcast. Everybody's going to click off. But
no chance.
We'll have a little football scoop. But yeah, hey, listen, I talk with Shea. I mean, we were talking every couple hours about what we were hearing, and we were in touch with national guys, and it is good to, what it comes down to, Randy, is you never know what was going on the inside. We had a fairly decent idea, and when Bill Self would have ever told Travis Goff officially, was that a few days ago? Was it several days ago? It probably wasn't just today, right? I mean, there was people that knew, but I think what it does is it gets all the fan base out there now. The exhale, right? I mean, the news is out.
Yeah.
Now the fans can start talking about who's staying and going and all this other fun stuff. But it's good to have it out. But I like I said, I'll let you get rolling with Shea, because I'm sure you got some good questions going, and Shea's definitely the man of the hour on the podcast.
You're exactly right. Shea, let's just get right into this. Give us your thoughts on Bill Self, on his decision to come back. I know you've covered him from the first day he landed in Lawrence. You and I both were at that introductory press conference where he held the chair and said the seat already feels hot.
Right.
What has this been like? And just what are, with the news still fresh, the ink is still wet. Tell us what you think about this deal.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I mean, he's a legend, you guys. I mean, when Coach Williams left, and I'm sure, Randy, you felt like this. A lot of people felt like this. The thought was, oh my God, what is Kansas going to do? It'll never be the same again. I mean, I think that was the reaction of a lot of people. Where will they go? Who will they take? What will happen? What's it going to look like? And
are we? Is this the end of the golden era? Are we ever going to be like this again?
Right. And I don't want to get dramatic, but I mean, that's Roy Williams was all I knew. I mean, that was it. I mean, I was, from 90 to 2003 or 89 to 2003 or whenever it was. That's all I knew.
Yep.
So yeah, and here's listen, you guys. Here's the bottom line. Here's what Bill Self's done. I don't have all the stats, but all he's done is become the all-time leader at wins in Kansas. He won 14 straight Big 12 regular season championships. He's been to four Final Fours. He's been to three national title games, and he's won two national championships. Um,
That's that's
right,
pretty solid right there,
right,
Shay.
right. And then here's kind of the other side of that. Let's say Bill does walk away, right?
Well, we know he's going to at some point.
Right,
We
right. But
know
here's
the end. We're closer to the end than we are the beginning. And obviously, right now, I would say we're probably a year away.
right. I'm guessing two of the guys that KU would want to look at are getting ready to play in a Final Four and possibly a national championship game. So now you're looking at what, another 10 days maybe? The
Hmm.
title game's Monday, parade Tuesday, get back. I mean, so yeah, I mean the timing and everything, just what he's done on the court, what he means to this program. Him getting this done today. I mean, you guys, he's a legend. And everybody knows what he's done on the court, but off the court equally. I mean, I remember the day my son was born, he called me.
Hmm. And
Remember?
you've told that story. I thought
Right,
about that earlier today,
right.
actually.
And like when my dad died, and I'm
Yep.
not going to get emotional, I could, but like he called. And like when I've had stuff going on in my life, I've dealt with some personal things, and I'm not the only one that he's
Hmm.
done that. I mean, he's done that to tons of people. I mean, like just all the little things that people don't see. I mean, you guys have seen other coaches after post games that are jerks to the media, that make you wait 45 minutes, that snap at you, that yell at you. Bill's never done that. I mean, he's the same guy today that he was when he was hired on, and that's media wise. I mean, we appreciate that. I mean,
Absolutely.
he's just, and I think he's a great ambassador for Kansas. Everybody loves him. He knows that. I mean, he might not see it for 10 years and he'll know your name. I mean, that's just the kind of guy he is. And um, I think that he has got a fire burning inside of him that wants to get this program back to where it was before the last couple years. And listen, you guys, I've said this many times. KU was down 9 to Memphis with what, 2 minutes to go and came back and won.
Hmm.
Luck's involved. North Carolina a couple years ago, they were down what, 15,
Yep.
16 at one point, 15 at the half, came back luck. The last 4 years, they've had some bad breaks, man. I mean, McCullough was never really truly healthy. You had the KJ Adams injury. If he doesn't go down against Arkansas, they win that game. There's no doubt about it. Darren Peterson this year, I think he only, and I could be wrong, only to go back and look, only played, I think, in 9 games at Allen Fieldhouse and missed, I don't know, 11 or 13 games. So a lot of stuff is like how the ball bounces. For 19 years, it's bounced really well for Kansas. The last four, it hasn't bounced so well. But listen, I expect him to get this roster locked in. I expect him. We'll talk about Stokes. I expect that. I expect him to really get after guys in the portal that he wants. I think he's going to have a budget maybe that, and I don't know for sure. I know Kirby can talk about this at some point. Maybe that Kansas has always had a great budget, but maybe he has a little bit more to work with this year. And so yeah, I know that fire's burning. He isn't coming back just to be like, oh hey, I'm Bill Self. He's coming back to win, and I
Let's
expect to
Shay,
put together.
I think you just hit on it perfectly. There's a lot. We know there are obviously things that coach has already been working on. He's been working on this recruiting class obviously for quite some time. But what is next for him at this point? What does he need to do in this job to keep things moving forward? Like you say, he's got that fire. You think he's got that fire burning inside him. I think we all believe that. But what does he need to do at this point with the portal opening next week? I mean, he's got to put a plan to action and do it fast.
Right, he'll be at the Final Four, I'm guessing, this weekend, and then, but I'm sure he's been on the phone with Tyran. You got to lock up Tyran Stokes. We've been hearing about, we media have been hearing about this for months. How Kansas is the team to beat. How Kansas leads. If something were to fall through with Coach, Kentucky would creep in. But yeah, I think you got to lock that up. 6'7", 230, a guy that can score from all three levels, plays with an attitude, plays with an edge, and I know. Just reading the boards, Kansas fans kind of have a concern about that, but
Hmm.
I think you need a dog like that. I know. And listen, Peterson was great when he played. He was great. I mean, he can score and he can do all these great things. But you got to have a guy with an edge. And I think that's what Tyron Stokes brings. He's a dog. So yeah, so I think you need to go there. But yeah, the portal. Here's the thing: you got to figure out what's next. You got to figure out what your roster is going to look like.
Hmm.
Who's staying and who's going? And I think there's some questions about who's staying and who's going.
All the answers, and I think that you talk about that, what the roster, what the turnover is going to look like. When you go down the roster mentally and talk about some of the guys where you think there are decisions that need to be made, whether they are staying, whether they are going, And if they are moving on, what are they going to look for next? I mean, where do you think things are with that? And
Yeah, I
who
mean,
are the ones that you think have a decision to be made? Let's put it that way, Shay.
I think Samis Calderon has a decision. I think Cole Rosario will have a decision. I think El Marco Jackson could possibly have a decision. I think Bryson Tiller has a decision. Paul Mabia could possibly have a decision, and Flory. I expect Flory to test right away. There's no doubt about it. I think he's going to test the NBA, see where he fits in, see what's going on, and kind of see what his options are. But yeah, I believe if I remember this correctly that Jamari McDowell is dating someone on the women's team.
Mhm.
And so I just think those kind of things just kind of work themselves out. But I don't know who's coming. Randy, I'm being honest with you. I don't know who's coming back. I
Do you
don't.
think if you had to say, I mean, do you think are we talking like 70, 80% turnover again?
I, I, you could, yeah. I mean, if you look at the roster, and I would challenge anybody to say, I mean, I'll ask you, Randy, who's coming? Who do you think? I mean, if I asked you, if I turn I mean, who's coming back? I
Mm,
don't. You got Tyran Stokes coming back. You're going to hit the portal. So, for instance, does an El Marco want to stick around? Not knowing for sure if he's, if you look at Bryson, the last month of the season, he struggled, you guys, and it got to the point where he didn't play in the second half, I believe, against um, Houston. Was it Houston or
mhm.
TCU in the Big 12 tournament? He didn't play in the second half. You get to the NCAA tournament. They started going with Paul Mabia. Mabia played really, really well in spurts.
Yes, he did.
So now is Paul thinking, hey, you guys, I didn't get much run this year. What's going to be the difference next year? Should I go ahead and test the portal? Or, I mean, like, there's a hundred questions. Cole
Mm,
Rosario went from a starter the first 10 games or 8 games of the season to not playing.
yes.
So
And
you got to,
then ended up coming in and playing some critical minutes in the tournament and flashing what people thought he could be.
right.
So I mean, his stock's up right now.
So that drives up the price. So if you're,
Exactly.
if you're Cole, so what do you say to yourself? You say, hey, do I test the market, kind of maybe like Flory did last year, and see kind of what my options are, see how I'm viewed in KU's eyes, and see what I can do, or do I just yeah? So I mean, listen, Bryson Tiller, I think he's going to be a really good basketball player. I do. There's no doubt about it. 6'11", 240 can stretch it. Um, I just don't know what in his mind what his experience was like this year. I don't know, and and the bad thing, Randy, for us is there's not a season-ending banquet.
Hmm.
So the interviews are over. There's no opportunity to talk. We don't know what the guys are thinking. So we just have to, when I say we media, we just have to sit back and wait. And I just
Exactly.
really, and I'm not trying to avoid the question, and I'm certainly not going to be a homer. I don't know. I look at this, I have no idea who's coming back. I think if you're Paul, um, just based off what happened last year, I think it'd probably be a good idea to stick around. Um, I think Cole's going to be a really good basketball player. I mean, I
Hmm.
was telling this to John earlier. Not only do I think he's going to be a really good basketball player, off the court, he's just such a great ambassador. I know he loves Lawrence. I know he's involved with the church there. Um, I know people around Lawrence absolutely love him. But is that
Hopefully that matters,
right?
kind of in the scheme of things that he's like, hey, I found a place where I'm comfortable and I'm happy and I feel like I can be part of something
Right.
more and that keeps him because
Right.
I think his potential. I mean, he showed it when he finally got the opportunity again after struggling for a while. He
Right.
looked really good.
Like the offensive rebound he had against St.
Hmm.
John, the corner three. And like here's the thing, like after games, Randy, we'll be walking off the court, headed out to the car, and he'll be out there with family. Hey Shay, how are you doing? Like and
Hmm.
he never didn't play a minute that game, and his parents are great, and it's just a kid that selfishly as a father you want to see be successful, no matter where he's at.
Well,
Yeah,
you
so
love classy kids like
right,
that. We all
right,
do.
right.
Okay,
So
so
the
here's the
decision
one
is never
question
been
I
made.
gotta ask you, Shay. There's all this that we don't know about. Okay, and even Tyron Stokes that you mentioned, we still don't know for certain he's coming until he signs, of course.
Right.
What is your prediction on him? Can they land him? And if so, what
Absolutely.
kind how good can he be
Absolutely.
in his
Absolutely.
only year in Lawrence?
Right. No, absolutely. I do. I'm guessing through all this, Randy, that he had conversations with Coach. And Tipton did an article last week saying, "Hey, excuse me, my sources are telling me Kansas. Depending on what happens with Bill, if Bill comes back, it looks like a really good shot that they'll sign. If something
Hmm.
falls through, they mentioned Kentucky. I do. Randy, He came to Kansas, I think, last summer or last spring for an official visit, returned again on his own dime during the season. It's the only school I believe that he's visited twice. No other visits scheduled. I know he loves Bill. I know he loves the opportunity to come in and be the face of a program for a year. I think he's going to have a big time impact. I mean, and listen, I'm going to temper my enthusiasm a little bit simply because of, and this isn't a knock on Darren, but when things happen, I mean, like what I saw from Darren last year on the court, I mean, I figured he'd be like one of the all-time greats. I believe that. And he had some setbacks this year. He had the cramps, and he rolled his ankle against Colorado, and we never, I'm not sure, got to see maybe until the very end. The real Darren Peterson. Well, you're missing a ton of games with teammates, and you never got a chance to really blend together. So, I mean, if Stokes comes in here and plays from day one and meshes with his team, and I know he's really tight with Kenny. Um, I mean, he's got a chance to be one of the best. I mean, and the thing that separates him from the most, and I know I said this, Kansas fans don't necessarily like it. He's got an attitude, and I can't really talk about it on air because there's some language I can't use. I would encourage everybody to go watch some of his YouTube clips and just see the kind of edge he plays with. I mean, he doesn't care. I mean, he's like people ask me all the time, how's he gonna get out of the Nike thing? Tyran Stokes is gonna do what he wants to do. He'll find a way to make it happen. And I know that Nike thing is a topic of discussion. I expect it to work itself out. I do. I think
Mhm.
they'll find a middle ground as far as NIL and what he wants and what Kansas can pay him. And I think they'll find a way to make it happen. And I don't think, we're coming up on April. You got a couple months before summer school, but Bill likes the guys here. He wants them here working and spending time with each other. I know Tyron's got another All-Star game, and then he'll graduate, and then yeah. I mean, I don't think he doesn't he doesn't appear to me to be a guy that wants to spread this thing out any more than he has to. I mean, now he knows Bill's coming back. He knows what's at stake. He knows what's on the table, and he knows how bad they want him. So I would, yeah, I think if you're a Kansas fan, you have to feel good.
That's our man Shea Wildeboer on the men's basketball beat on a wild big news Wednesday, also April Fool's Day. So
All right,
I'm just glad that this wasn't a joke. Shay, thanks a lot
all
for joining us today.
right, guys, have a good night.
That's Shea Wildeboer talking about the return of Bill Self. Now we're going to switch gears, bring him a man, John Kirby. But before I do that, it's time for a shameless plug of Jayhawk Slant, which is right now we have an amazing promotion going on, 75% off. It's one of the best deals that you will ever see us offer. Great time to subscribe, get all the insight about the impact of Bill Self's announcement, what the roster could look like next year, more about Tyran Stokes, Cole Rosario, all the names that you know and the updates that you need. Now is the perfect time. And you also get a free year of The Athletic with it. And if you've not subscribed to The Athletic before, let me tell you, if you are someone that enjoys quality sports writing, there is no better place for it than The Athletic. Now, part of that subscription gets you access to the best coverage of Kansas football that you're going to find anywhere, led by my man John Kirby. Kirby, I got to bring it up before we get into football. I know you follow the Kansas baseball team along with Sam Winton a lot. It seems like the squad has righted the ship at this point.
Yeah, Randy. I mean, baseball's wild to cover. I mean, it's like a roller coaster. I've watched almost every game, and that they can come out and look bad against Sacramento State or go on the road and lose one they shouldn't, or and then next thing you know, you're like, oh man, have these guys lost their mojo? Then they'll go roll off four in a row, right? So I mean,
Hmm.
it's been they went through a tough stretch. They didn't look that great. They lost a couple to Texas Tech, and they won one on Sunday to end that Tech series. Then they go out and they sweep Utah. They take 2 out of 3 from Cincinnati, who was top 25 in the nation, and they were no, number 20 in the RPI when the series started. They came back last night and beat Missouri in Columbia. So I just, it's a fun team to follow. I think there's a pretty telling quote from Fitzgerald after the game last night that these guys all believe in each other, and he believes in them, and they don't ever feel like any lead anytime they're down. They feel like they can come back and win, and if they could duplicate anything like they did from last season. I mean, they had a great year last year, and they're showing signs of putting it together. So it's been fun to follow for KU fans out there who don't follow the baseball or kind of follow it from afar. I mean, you can see that these kids, they play hard, and Fitzgerald's really turned this thing around.
Now, I know, shifting to football, I know they just went to pads last week, but what are your impressions so far of spring football? I want to ask, you had a column that you wrote listing some of the new players that are catching some people's eyes, and there were some names that really stood out that I wasn't expecting to see. Talk about those thoughts so far and just what you've seen in the spring, John.
Yeah, I mean, Randy, that makes two of us. I mean, there are some guys, not that I discounted that they would do well, but I just some of the rumblings I've heard so far through spring football, some names I wasn't expecting. Jalen Butler, tight end. I was kind of thinking, hey, he might be your third guy, fourth guy fighting in there, but this guy might end up being your number two tight end. Very athletic from Old Dominion. He didn't catch a lot of balls. They didn't throw a lot to the tight end, but man, he is a good looking kid. He's like 6'4", 255. And I was watching him do some drills there today. I mean, he can move well, and I heard he's looked good. KU really went in the portal for linebackers, and there were several guys, and I just didn't know where Quincy Davis would stack up from New Mexico State in that group. There were some other guys I kind of thought would be ahead of him, but I've heard he's been one of the more impressive players on the defense at linebacker. So that's one to watch. He was at New Mexico State, and he was their highest rated linebacker at New Mexico State, and I would think he was the second best overall player according to the PFF score. So I mean, he's a solid player. And then listen, going in, I said Corey Amakri, the running back from Michigan. I thought this would be a great year where he comes in red shirts. They've got some guys they got from the portal, had some guys coming back, but one guy's injured, and then Justin Thurman I don't think is going to go through spring. And next thing you know, Corey Amakri's in there getting carries, and from what I hear, he's looked really good. And I penciled him in going into the spring, Randy, as a guy who would probably redshirt. Boy, my opinions from what I hear have changed on that. I think I think he'll play this year. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you he's going to be the guy getting the most snaps, but those are just a few in that article that I wrote. So, it's watch out for the linebackers. I really think that they did a good job. And when I was watching the linebackers in practice, I mentioned Quincy Davis, Jabril Alameen, very interesting kid, 6'3", about 215. Boy, he's long, but he runs. I mean, he's probably going to be the fastest linebacker in the group. He came from Marshall, but he played at Jacksonville State before that for Rich Rodriguez. And when Rich Rodriguez took the job at West Virginia, we had heard that he made a hard push at him, but KU beat out West Virginia for him. And then they've got Bam Crouch also at linebacker. I haven't heard as much of him, but in 2024, he led Boston College in tackles. Last year, going into the season before he got hurt, he was voted a team captain. So, you look around, and I see linebackers. I look at some of the D linemen. I look at some of the O-line guys, and you sit here and you say, God, is it hard to be optimistic? Because, the last two seasons, although they are 5-7, and there's a lot of years where, 5-7 KU fans would be happy with it. But when you look at it, and this team, Lance made a comment like this the other day, that if there's just a couple balls that bounce different, those two teams are going to bowl games, right? So
Yeah.
You look at this team, and you got 44 new players that have enrolled in January. So I mean, this is like half a new team. So you're trying to figure out, God, can they be good here? What's this position going to do? But you start looking around the field and you start going, there's definitely some pieces. I am a little skeptical, a little concerned at some areas at cornerback and the depth there. Who's going to step up at safety and some areas like that. So then obviously you got the battle at quarterback. Right now, I think it's between Ballard and Marshall. And something Lance said. I asked him a question about the quarterbacks last week, and I got to go back over this. I might write a little something on this. He made a comment that kind of caught me off guard. He said, "We don't anticipate making any decisions this spring on the quarterback." And I've said all along, this thing's going into fall camp, right? I mean, this quarterback deal, I've said, I don't think we'll know the quarterback until sometime in August. But then Lance threw a little something in there that caught me off guard that said, we don't expect to be making any decisions this spring. And he kind of left it open ended like, yeah, if we find our guy, we wouldn't be afraid to do that, which it just kind of shocked me the way I heard it come out. So, I put up a story today on Reno Monteforte. He played at Cal and he played at Notre Dame. You got to go on and read this story and watch the video of this guy. But he said he ranted and raved about the organization and the structure of KU's program. And he talked about the facilities and the nutrition and everything. He said it's the nicest facilities he's ever seen. I mean, this kid
that quote.
This kid came from Notre Dame. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you listen, I'm not saying everything's rosy with KU football, right? I mean, they've underachieved the last 2 seasons in their eyes and in the fans' eyes, okay? I mean, just another win here or there, it's a whole different story. But when you start hearing things like this, you start saying, I don't know that all is broken, right? You just need to tweak and correct a couple things. So, hey, it's been fun watching Andy Kotelnicki back in the spring. Some of the energy he brings at practice, that's been good. So, listen, there's still a long way to go. Spring football is kind of the warm-up, and that'll lead us into the end of the fall camp.
John, I want to end this with any recruiting tidbits or maybe any news that you've been following from the trail. Catch us up on the latest with some recruiting football intel.
Yeah, they've got 2 commitments on the board, Randy. Deng Tong, wide receiver from North Kansas City. A little concern there. He went to our camp and went like 4.33 in the 40, and Mississippi State just offered him. And now I'm wondering if the under the radar tag is officially off of him now. So
sounds like it.
Is he going to start picking up more offers and other guys start looking at him? Derek Gonzalez, an offensive lineman from California. So there's 2 right there. And Randy, I've put this on the message board. I think this class of high school players is only going to be about 12 to 15 deep. Okay, so let's say it's on the lower end. Let's just throw out 13. They've already got 2 commitments. We could only be looking at maybe 10 or 11 spots left in this entire high school class. So you got a kid that just visited last weekend, Kieran Govan, out of Republic, Missouri, got a lot of offers. He really liked his visit, said he was going to look at setting something up officially. Ronald Moore, a D lineman out of Chicago, I talked to him. He visited. He'll be back in June. They're on a couple quarterbacks. Dane Weber, who's going to start his visit on 10 days away. I mean, we're talking official visitors are going to start in April with KU for high school.
That's crazy.
They're going to continue through May, Randy, and this is going all the way through June. So once we start the official visits, it just keeps going and going. So, I mean, they've got 10 more unofficial visitors visiting practice this week. Kids that are on spring break, and I mean, it's crazy. So we're kind of getting into that time where news is just going to keep flowing on visitors. So also with Dane Weber, Braylon Lane, very talented receiver out of Texas. He's going to visit April 10th. And then you go right into the first week in May, and Mason Oglesby, a tight end from Indiana. Kobe Rhymes, very talented linebacker from North Kansas City. Julian Cromartie, a wide receiver from Texas who's got like 25 offers. They've got some pretty good looking recruits set to visit. So this is going to start soon, and we aren't going to get much of a break. It is just going to keep going.
That will do it for a breaking news edition of the Inside Slant podcast from jayhawkslant.com. You heard from Shea Wildeboer with his reaction to Bill Self's announcement that he will be back for another season with the Kansas men's basketball program. We talked some Kansas football. You heard Kirby talking about some of the interesting things that he's seen during the spring. For my man Shea Wildeboer and John Kirby, I'm Randy Withers. You've been listening to the Inside Slant podcast from jayhawkslant.com. We will talk with you again soon. Rock chalk.
This has been a podcast from jayhawkslant.com.